My bags are packed and I'm ready to go because I'm going to attend the Berkshire Hathaway shareholders meeting in Omaha, Nebraska in the next couple of weeks. It's my first time as an observer of what's often described as Woodstock for capitalists. It's the ultimate American dream story of a young guy, well, he was young once, a long time ago, who grew up doing newspaper rounds and then through sticking to simple investment principles but armed with a ferocious intellect and solid discipline, is today one of the world's richest people. His name is Warren Buffett and regarded as the world's most successful investor. Philip Forer is global head of wealth and investment at Standard Bank. I think we need to remind people who Warren Buffett is, Philip Forer, because to you, Warren Buffett is something of an expert in the world of investing. To the vast majority of us, he's just an older woman. He has made a lot of money. Are you a devotee? Are you a follower even of Warren Buffett?
Yes, hi Bruce. Thanks for having us on the show, and I'm sure you're looking forward to your trip.
I'm quite envious. I know. You see, I'm special. You have to work. I go on trips. That's the way it works. You see, Philip. That's the way it
enjoy.
works. No, I mean, are you a devotee of the Buffett philosophy?
I think it's been a wonderful journey following him over the many years, and I think most people that spend time in the markets really subscribe to his philosophy, and it's actually really quite simple if you think about it. It's not rocket science. In fact, one of my favorite quotes of his is he talks about to invest successfully over a lifetime doesn't require the stratospheric IQ or unusual business insights or inside information. He says what you need is a sound intellectual framework for making decisions against, to avoid emotions eroding that framework. It's such a simple little saying that he has, but if you think about it, that's what it comes down to, having a consistent framework to compare yourself against constantly now and into the future.
But you've got to have such an extraordinary level of self-confidence that you're right. I mean, and he bases his philosophy on the teachings of a guy called Benjamin Graham, who was sort of writing before the Great Depression. I mean, this is 1920s thinking that Warren Buffett applies today, and it still works, which implies it works, right?
Absolutely. And it still does. And it really comes down to a couple of very simple points if you think about it. He talks about taking a long-term view, and in his mind it's 10 years plus. Look for quality businesses that make good profits. Look for good management in those businesses, and stick to your guns. And he talks about looking for companies that have this moat. He refers to this moat where it's a competitive advantage that a business may have, might be the brand or the way they do business or whatever it is. And it really comes down to that. But taking a long-term view on quality businesses, making sure you pay a fair price for them, and sitting tight, sitting on your hands.
I mean, for years he avoided trendy tech shares, and that saved him in 1999. But he started to take stakes in companies you might regard as technology companies, but these are more, I don't know, he loves railroads. He's invested in old-fashioned things like railroads because you need to get goods from point A to point B. And I suppose hardware, computer hardware, Apple, for example, that's the railroad of the 21st century. That's how information flows. He likes Apple.
Yeah, he's definitely taken a little dabble. You're right. In the 90s, he was very opposed to tech at all. In fact, avoided it completely. He just didn't understand it. But he currently holds up to, I think it's over 8% of IBM currently. Sure. And really, it goes back to his basics philosophies again. He backs the management. It's a good business that generates cash. He thinks it's got a great moat in the form of a strong brand. Yeah. And then, in fact, in the last AGM last year, he mentioned Amazon, which was a surprise. I mean, there's a business that trades on a stratospheric PE. But he said, no, he admires Bezos. He thinks it's a very strong business that's disruptive. He thinks it's changing the retail space and down the line, potentially the retail property market as well.
I mean, very, very quickly, Philip, because we're always pressed for time, but this idea of active versus passive investing, he's an active investor. He takes stakes in companies. He takes big stakes in companies. He doesn't like to sell stakes in companies. He likes to support management teams that are solid, brands that are solid, products that are solid, that have got dominant in their markets. But famously, he said that in his will, most of what he leaves his widow should go into passive funds, which is so contradictory, and it implies that he doesn't believe that anybody else can do active investing as well as he does.
Indeed. He said he wants all that his wife's inheritance to go into index funds. And there's definitely a place for index funds. There's no doubt that it's a growing market. It offers, quality indices anywhere in the world. You can follow anything you want to at a very low price. There's a lot to be said for that. But as you say, he is an active manager himself, and I still think there is space in our market for active managers. We have some very good managers in South Africa that are good at selecting long-term businesses that offer that at a fair price and holding on to those. So the answer is probably somewhere in between. I think any portfolio should have a combination of low-cost indices and a couple of active managers around to select some of the better companies.
And he often goes against the tide. He goes against popular and populist thinking, and it's clearly worked for him more often than it hasn't. But he's not flawless. I mean, he is apparently a human being. Apparently, if you cut him, he will bleed. He will, won't he? Apparently. Rumors are.
Absolutely. But he is, as you say, he's a real contrarian. As you said earlier, he's bought railways, which was quite a surprise. He owns 10% of Coca-Cola in a world that's sort of anti-sugar. He's done some crazy contrarian things, and it's worked for him. I think it is a great strategy, but one's got to have a really good conviction of your purchase and be able to sit on your hands through the noise. It's not easy.
It's not easy at all. Philip Fora, thank you. The Global Head of Wealth and Investment at Standard Bank. He's also involved at philanthropy at Standard Bank. And I mean, Warren Buffett is one of the world's biggest philanthropists. He and his mate Bill Gates have given away 90% of their wealth into trusts, into funds that invest in key projects. I mean, anti-malaria, for example, on the African continent has been a key feature of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So Warren Buffett giving away the lion's share of his wealth to Bill Gates to administer as he sees fit. Philip Fora, thank you. Global Head of Wealth and Investment at Standard Bank. I am looking forward to going to the Woodstock for Capitalists as an observer, as a passive observer, to check what it's all about.